Hey folks, MasakoX here. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Haverock and I made a video discussing 13 things that the Dragon Ball Super manga did better than the anime. That was a very well received video, and I thank you all for watching it and adding your own spin on things in the comments, which you can also do now. And also folks, by the way, we don't think that the anime Gohan is bad, just that the manga did him better in the Tournament of Power especially. So cool your jets for those concerned thinking that we were trashing Gohan in general. We weren't. In any case, Haverock and I like to be fair with these discussions, and there is the fact of the matter that, in a way, the anime and manga being two separate mediums, at least before the Moro saga, where we think they'll then become one, does lend itself to having ways that the other did things more accomplished than the other. You got something out of one you may have not gotten in the other. Today, I want to present to you 12 ways that the anime was better than the manga, because we want to be fair. There were plenty of instances where the anime team took Toriyama's original notes and managed to produce something more capable than what Toyotaro could do. You can choose either to watch the anime or read the manga, or maybe dabble in both, and you will be able to find something unique that will pique your interest in whichever consumption of media that you choose. If you like this video and the previous instance of this, do like and subscribe to see more discussions weekly. In any case, let's get started. Number 1. Piccolo gives more of a fight against Frost. I think it can be safely said that Piccolo during the first 131 episodes of Super and the first 45 chapters of the manga didn't really get to do much. But this little glimmer of hope gave us something to cheer about after a rather weak taking one for Gohan earlier on in the Resurrection F bit. This fight with Frost was an example where the Namekian could provide something useful for the team. Granted, while neither iteration of this fight takes a particularly long time to finish, we still feel like 4 minutes of screen time is better than 4 pages, because that is how long it takes the frosting on the cake to knock down our favourite Big Green. And while we do see the return of stretchy arms in both instances, and you can never have too much of stretchy arms, the anime version shows us more of Piccolo's strategic prowess, as he displays his clone technique, as well as the charging of his signature Special Beam Cannon. The animated version of this showdown makes a better job of convincing us that had Frost not cheated his way to victory like he did with Goku as well, this encounter might have ended in a different way with Piccolo getting the win perhaps. Let's say that our money would have been on the green field, whatever happened. I'm just sad personally that Piccolo chose to let Vegeta take the win against Frost and not step back in and have another go when he had the opportunity. I guess the Namekian wasn't really feeling it. Or maybe one of the story beats that Toriyama left was that Vegeta got the win. Maybe some kind of cathartic way against Frieza, since the previous saga didn't really give him that. Maybe? Then there was the fact that Goku Black follows Trunks to the past. While we say that Toyotaro really strove to make this saga his very own story, surrounding Toriyama's notes of course, you had to, there are things he could have improved upon. In the manga, the first encounter between our heroes and the villainous Goku Black happens in the future, after they first travelled through time. Okay, it's alright. It's a bit pedestrian though. In this case, however, for the anime, the bad guy managed to surprisingly follow Trunks via the time ring and remnants of temporal energy, finding his way back to the timeline we all know and love. The main timeline. This gives us a first proper, albeit brief, exchange of punches between Goku and his doppelganger, really scratching an itch after we first saw Goku Black in episode 47. How does he stack up against the main character? It also introduces the peril directly to the main cast. This isn't something you're hearing about, some distant threat that Trunks had said. It has come for you, ready to turn your timeline into dust if it could. And it gets better. This encounter directly shows us that this maniac can easily slip into our reality. And while he cannot do it for long, he's still a threat. I mean, come on. He managed to do something. He destroyed Trunks' time machine and delayed his reasoning for coming back. While he hasn't mastered the usage of his new mortal body yet, this serves as a pretty effective introduction and gives us a good idea on how much of a quick learner he really is. A fight on our hero's home turf really makes the matter more personal, and while it can be argued that, in the end, not much has come out of this encounter, it's still a memorable one. One last thing. The sudden surprise of Super Saiyan Rose in the anime, instead of showing Super Saiyan off first, was a very shocking revelation for us all when we first saw it. Even though you could easily describe it as surreal as well, but hey, it left an impact. And also one final note, another one, is that This is when Goku was starting to show off his silly side in the anime. I do have to add a caveat because really, he should have just finished Goku Black off there and then he could have easily done so in Super Saiyan 2 or even 3. He was just toying with him and then everything happened. Oh, silly Goku, but yeah, we're talking about the good stuff here. Number 3, the Sword of Hope against Infinite Zamasu. While there are many moments in the fight against Infinite Zamasu and Goku Black that are rather enjoyable, we feel that getting the final win against a corporeal form of the baddie is just more satisfying in the animated version. In the manga, the villain defuses, but is able to simply brush it off and transform into a legion of immortal doppelgangers. Also, corrupted Zamasu isn't really a thing, as the two Zamasus are able to merge on a genetic level rather than just simply fusing, via Potara. It is arguable, but we prefer the anime view of it. It definitely gives future Trunks more time to shine and give him a final payoff for his trusty sword. It's the best usage of his weapon since Mecha Frieza. Even though it's not explained how he could use the Spirit Bomb as a facsimile for his broken sword. Our best guess, our headcanon, is that Goku taught him that technique in the afterlife while he was training with Shin getting Supreme Kai training. He couldn't get it there, that technique, but now, in the midst of his planet dying, he could finally do it, and thusly get the win and triumph over every adversity. Shame we didn't get that in the actual story. That would have actually made people go, oh, okay, that makes sense. They could have easily saved some headaches there. And whilst Zeno erasing everything is a controversial topic, in our opinion, showing Sky Zamasu as this power that has transcended physical limitations works better than a clone army. It's a new visual, one that shows you that you really need divine intervention this time to get rid of the problem, instead of just being an army of the same guy. Sorry Zamasu, Metacooler did it first. And better. Obviously the fate of Trunks and Mai leaves a sour aftertaste in our mouths, but still, the concept of Zamasu infesting the very fabric of time and space, to the point that it had to be erased, makes a better point about showing us the necessity of such an act, rather than just tanking an army of immortal green guys. Number 4. The Trio De Donjer. Of course, these guys. Yes, the GOD Battle Royale was great in the manga, we really got to see those powerful guys in action. But the thing is though, is that the anime had managed to give us a set of characters that was criminally underused in the manga. And you could easily say that for most of the roster. And honestly, not only are these 3 fine boys bestowed with some great designs, they also got pretty unique powers. Even though you could say they look like they came out of an R-rated version of Sonic Heroes based on their color scheme. Honestly, the Tournament of Power really underused a lot of characters, these being just one example. We didn't get to see much of those guys there. But to be fair, the anime did drop the ball as well with some of those characters, but at least more of them got their time to shine there than in the manga. I don't even remember seeing Lilybo in the manga at all. But their Zeno Expo fight against Buu, Gohan and Goku the Trio De Donjer might be one of the most underrated fights in the entirety of Super. Not only did we see Buu doing cool stuff, but the blindfolded Gohan versus Lavender battle might be just one of the greatest moments for Gohan in the anime. So yeah, we really do feel sad that they were completely glossed over in the manga and haven't really done anything of note since then, but we at least still have that moment. Number 5, Goku's recruitment spree. We know that the Poacher episode is somehow infamous, when 17 and Goku randomly go out to space and fight that space frog poacher guy for some reason. But having those little adventures with Tenshinhan, saying 17 interact with 18's family for the first time on screen, then having Goku train with Gohan, those were some really nifty moments before we got to the Tournament of Power itself. It made the lead up time feel rather interesting instead of simply a time stalling tactic. We are especially happy for Tenshinhan, seeing that he seems to have found a niche for himself, and hopefully a love interest. But given the present circumstances, we doubt that any more is going to come from this, especially from Yurin. And I would insert a joke surrounding that name at this moment, but I don't want to catch the yellow dollar. As always though, poor Yamcha is the scape joke, and the less said about Roshi in this segment the better. But it still felt like visiting some old friends in anticipation for the storm. You might say that one recruitment was so spectacular that it really needs to have its own entry. Number 6, keeping your enemies closer. This point could just sum up the entirety of Frieza's second revival in the anime. Starting with the coy word exchange in Hiffle, through the assassin attack, and his subsequent sparring with Goku, and ending with his overall performance in the tournament, wow, that was a ride. And we weren't initially so sure about his return in the anime. Nobody seemed to like it upon first hearing about it. Do you remember the furore that happened? It seemed to us all like a slap in the face, especially after having to deal with Boo being taken out of the odds. That was really bad as well. It was like a double whammy of frustration. The last Frieza instance didn't help matters either, as Resurrection F somehow felt like the character was outstaying his welcome. But it seems that we, as well as the large portion of the fanbase, were wrong. And Frieza's trickery and actions were some of the best elements of the tournament altogether. They managed, the anime star, to pull it off. Neat! And while he returned in both the anime and the manga, we feel that the animated version was much more bombastic and stole the show every single time he was on camera, when it was focusing on him. Number 7. Goku reenacting his fight with Grandpa Gohan. You know what? Sometimes good things come in small packages. This particular scene takes only about 10 seconds to go through, but gives us a lot of insight inside Goku's mind. He rarely allows himself to be nostalgic or sad, as he seems like an overly positive type of soul. But seeing how he reenacts his last duel with Grandpa Gohan to a T from the original Dragon Ball whilst waiting for Frieza, it really shows that not only does he hold that moment special in his heart, but also that this memory is somewhat comforting for him. It's like a means to relax or take your mind off of nervous matters. It's a beautiful moment, showing that sometimes 10 seconds is enough to give the viewer a meaningful character moment. Number 8. Krillin is allowed to do stuff. Okay, we can forgive a lot of questionable decisions Toyotaro made. Probably too much when we look back at it. But the way Krillin had been treated in the Tournament of Power chapter that he was ousted in, I'm sorry, that was one of the worst disservices for the character to this day. He barely did anything. He didn't last that long in the animated version as well, but at least that version, he was allowed to get his big fight against Majora from Universe 4, a pretty competent opponent mind you, using some rather left field tactics that worked. It felt very much in the spirit of things from some of his fights in the original Dragon Ball, namely with Bacterian of course because smell. It is such a shame that the Krill Dog didn't last longer, but at least in the anime, he didn't go down without a fight, and in 18's own words, he's so cool. Oh yeah, the anime could have done more with his newly discovered power in the two-parter prior to the saga starting, but no, that never got brought up again. Number 9. More time with the gimmicky fighters, not just the serious ones. It's pretty obvious that Toyotaro was mostly interested in the serious fighters that took part in the Tournament of Power when it came to his interpretation of the story. The big players like Jiren, Kale, Goku, Gohan, Vegeta and Frost, who was made to be a much bigger player in the manga than in the anime, were the main focus for his attention. And we really could see not any of the fascinating newcomers to show off their powers. Most notably, Toyotaro did my boy Catapestra dirty! He was the best character in that saga in my opinion. He's just so cool! The anime was more gracious in that department, and he actually got to have a decent fight with Vegeta, and that was just, I loved it. And yes, the anime did have its own problem of having too many writers jumping in every episode now, which made them seem kind of disjointed. Episodes 118 and 119 being the most egregious example of that. Go and check out my original reviews of those. At least we had some genuinely funny, exciting fighters. They managed to make 80 interesting characters in the anime. We haven't seen such an interesting bunch since the days of the original Dragon Ball tournaments, and even the other World Tournament of Z. And it was one of the saving graces of the saga as a whole. Number 10. Ultra Instinct's transformation in the anime. Dum 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 da da dum. In the manga, Goku had achieved the state after an exchange of punches with Jiren after he had just eliminated Roshi. Having some kind of discussion about training and perfection, Goku stands against his opponent as the representative of the Turtle School. Yeah, cool. Motive? But what would you say about Goku returning like the Phoenix from the ashes after seemingly being vanquished by his own spirit bomb and some kind of wormhole for some reason? And that completely changing his demeanor? The music, the animation, the fact that someone had finally done any damage to Jiren, that moment when he got that power felt amazing. Honestly, episodes 109 and 110 of the Tournament of Power saga might be its strongest point, and that scene is just legendary, man. But to be fair, the Goku Kefla fight where he's sort of skating over Kefla's attack with a Kamehameha, I mean, that's a close second. Okay, maybe third because of Goku Frieza, but we'll get to that later. Number 11. the climax. While technically some similar things happened in the manga as well, it just worked better in the anime overall. Starting with the fact that Vegeta had been eliminated earlier, and that had left Goku and Frieza to fend off Jiren for much longer, and then all boiling down to the fact that 17 had contributed already, and only revealed himself at the end to secure the win for Universe 7, this was all such a powerful feast for the eyes. Seeing Goku fight alongside his previous foes, it really sparked a lot of excitement for us all at that moment. A powerful, iconic time to be had for sure. And in the manga, it really doesn't hit you as much as the anime version, you know? Number 12, the Divine Plan. In the manga, the Tournament of Power ends rather suddenly. You can feel that Toyotaro wanted to get to Moro already, and who can really blame him? While in the anime, it is clear that 17's selfish wish is what really saves the multiverse. Not only that, but it seems that this was the plan from the very beginning. And although the GP is implying that this was all Zeno's idea, the way it was framed though, it makes us doubt that, and makes us feel that good old Angel Papa and his children had their fingers in this pie from the outset. What was the real purpose? Teaching gods about mortal potential? Showing that they become too stale perhaps? That the mortals can do amazing things when pushed to the extreme? We sadly don't know, but we are pretty sure though that they had our backs from the get-go, the angels. And whilst the two Zenos might be uncaring, fickle child gods, those wise, mysterious creatures that are the angels have our backs. And that's comforting. And that's it. Our 12 moments from Dragon Ball Super that we felt were better in the anime than in the manga. What are yours? Do you agree with our choices? What changes would you like to see in the animated versions of the Mora and Granola sagas? Do make sure to keep this discussion going in the comments, and I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!